My name is Robert Moon, and I'm going to be teaching you how to make a simple risotto. Risotto is a very versatile dish. It is used in, you can add any kind of herbs, spices, fruits, nuts, anything you want, seafood. It's a delicious Italian dish, which can be used in many different ways. Today, I'm just doing a simple risotto, nothing really too fancy, but you can add whatever you'd like if you were to try this. First off, I'm going to start off with 12.5 ounces of arborio rice, 1¼ ounce of butter, 1 tablespoon of white pepper, and 1 tablespoon of garlic powder. I have 1½ onions, small diced, a cup of white wine, and ½ gallon of chicken stock. So first thing you're going to do is you're going to take your butter and you're going to just melt it onto the pan. You kind of want to move it around so you don't burn your butter in certain spots. Just wait till it's completely melted. Now, once the butter is fully melted, you'll take your 1½ onions and you're going to add them to the skillet. And this process is called sweating the onions. It's not caramelizing them or cooking them. It's just, you're just getting the flavor out. You're not getting any other kind of, dark colors or nothing. You just want to sweat them, kind of the name is. It usually takes about 3 minutes to sweat your onions. But and then after your onions are sweated, you get your rice ready. And arborio rice is it's a short grain Italian rice. It's very high in starches, and it is used only in risottos. You don't want to use jasmine, you don't want to use white rice, mainly because those rices just have different starch content and it'll make a different type of dish. It might be good, but you don't know. So these onions are looking pretty sweated. So I'm going to take my rice, open it up. Just add your rice. This is a key process. It helps cook your rice and kind of bring it down into getting it ready to be able to absorb the liquids that you're going to be adding, the white wine and the chicken stock and things like that. So, and you don't want to add your liquids until you hear your rice crackling and popping. It's the first sign that it's ready to start the risotto. So we're just gonna saute this for a little bit. Bring the heat just a tad. And you can start hearing, I don't know if y'all can hear, but you definitely can hear it crackling and popping and doing that. So that is now ready. For your first liquid, you're going to add a cup of your white wine. This gives the risotto a nice flavor. It helps bring out some notes with it, things like that. Kind of sweetens it a little bit as well. So you're just going to add your white wine. And this is your first process in this step. And right now you always want to constantly stir your rice. You do not want to keep it from keep away from it. You'll burn it, or you might catch some dark spots in your risotto. And you really want this to be a white color, very bright and pretty. So now that the white wine has been added, we're just going to let it simmer for a little bit, and we will add our salt. And you can add your salt to taste. If you like it more salty, you can add as much as you want. The chicken stock does have sodium in it, so you don't want to over salt it. So I usually just like to do 2 nice little pinches. 1 and 2. And the way you can tell when to add your liquid is whenever you pull the rice back, you'll see that it keeps almost like the liquid doesn't close in on this area. So that means it's ready for your next addition of liquid, which I'm now going to go with the stock. And usually it's not necessary to measure it out every time, but you can add about a cup and a half. You just want to cover the top of your rice, and that's basically all you need. You don't want to add too much because then you're going to be boiling your rice in the liquid. So I'm just going to cover my rice like that. Now we will keep repeating the process, but you will always want to constantly be stirring. If you don't, it will cause your rice to stick and burn to the bottom, and you don't really want that. Now that we added the first set of stock, I'm going to add my 1 tablespoon of garlic powder and a tablespoon of white pepper. And this gives it flavor. You don't have to add garlic powder or white pepper if you don't like white pepper. You can add anything, cinnamon, nutmeg. You can do sweet risotto, you can do savory risotto, mushroom risotto. It's basically a very simple dish. But this dish is very, very key, a staple in Italy and Italian cuisine, so it's a very, very delicious. And if you can see again how I pull, when you pull, you don't want to see how it's closing, so that means it still has to cook. It's going to stay open more. But you always want to keep stirring it. You do not want to walk away from it. You want to constantly watch this dish, because it can quickly go out of hand. So now we'll add another little bit of stock. And you just repeat this process till the rice is al dente, which means, it's an Italian phrase, which means to the tooth. And you just tell by taking a spoon and tasting the rice. And right now it's still very, very raw, but like I say, you want to just keep trying, tasting. And you can also see how much spices and herbs you're going to need. And then, once that is finished, you're going to keep cooking it till it is to a delicious consistency that is nice and soft, and you can see that it's very, very cooked. And you can even garnish it, basil leaf or any other kind of garnish you can use. Like I said, this is just a plain risotto. You can add whatever you think would accompany this to your liking, and this is just a very simple recipe that I find works every time, and if you practice it and get it, it's a great dish. Thank you.